Welcome, one and all. It is Chanda Sparkles, and this is Cosmic Convos number two. Number two. Wow, I'm so happy. This has been a manifestation project of mine that's been dear to my heart for over almost 2 years now. And all it is a bunch of very intuitive, multidimensional beings coming together for an intuitive chat, a conversation, a cosmic convo. We don't know where we're going to go, but we know we're going way out there. And today, my guest is brilliant. I'm so excited to have Sandra McEllis here with me today. Sandra is an advanced Reiki master, spiritual life coach, past life regressionist guru, hypnotherapist, beyond quantum healing, medical aesthetics techniques. We'll talk to her about those as well. And she's a YouTube, Facebook content creator. She has her stuff out on all the social medias. All of Sandra's intel is down below in the description, even her links to her social media, as well as how you can contact her for your soul session. Like this is going to be a way that we can learn how to embody the soul self into the physical self. Your soul's blueprint. If you follow me, you know that I've been speaking about the soul's blueprint being your astrological birth chart. Well, she has a whole different way she does it, and I was gifted literally in the middle of all that madness I was going, with my son. I was gifted a beautiful session with her, and it was life-changing. So I definitely am excited to have Sandra here, but we're going to let her talk more and tell you more all about her. I see a few of you loading in the chat. Please, if you wouldn't mind, like, subscribe, and share. If you're on Facebook, come over to the YouTube channel. We would love to have you over there. We have all the moderators in there, and we have a lot of support going on in there. And at the very end, we will take a few questions. So if there's something that you're like, I don't know about this, let me, if we haven't answered fully through the conscious cosmic convo that we're about to have, just sit tight with your question and get it in there. Make sure that, you put it in all capital letters if you have a question so that it stands out and we see it in the chat as we go. Alrighty, everybody good? Looks like more and more people are loading in on the chat here. I'm so happy, so excited, so astounded and excited. Astounded and excited. You know me, I'm always making up words. That's just how I roll. Welcome in, Sandra McEllis. How are you doing today, girlfriend?
Well, I'm well. How about you?
I'm happy. I'm a happy girl. It's Friday. It's the end of the week, and so I get to work my tail off all weekend long. Because my weekends are normally like I get pumped up towards the end of the week because I'm pumped because I have more clients and more stuff going on the weekends. So, but I'm happy to be here.
Well, you're gaining that momentum, whereas most people are ready to go downhill because they've built their momentum up Monday through Friday, gearing up Sunday night. But I
This
know
is
us
true.
healers, we work on the weekends a lot.
Yeah, definitely. So I felt like the energy has just been. I've been real high, like a literal highness. I think it was a little much yesterday, but then again, I was getting activated by that Taurus moon being opposite all my placements in Scorpio. But I was real high and foggy Neptunian energies, and I mean, I could barely stay awake through my first two appointments. They were personal appointments for myself. I was I was at my hairdresser going, I don't think I'm gonna make it. He's like, girlfriend. But yeah, how have you been feeling this week? I've heard from a lot of people. These are some pretty incredible energies that we're having this week.
Well, these energies are what I want to call exhilarating. You can look at them in many different ways. There are some people that are going to be Debbie Downers, regardless of what's going on. But I think the more education and awareness, the more you're connecting with your breath, the more you're listening to channels like yours and mine, you kind of have an idea of how to settle your laurels and get a little bit more grounded. I think this energy's had us in somewhat of a floating state and really learning how to operate from the etheric self and the physical self. And it's felt odd for many people, for many, many people. So I too have been getting a lot of reports about how others are feeling, I've been feeling pretty grounded, honestly. I think it's because I do my work, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Now, speaking, if you don't mind, I want to just jump right in. And I had a question, like, um, how do you express yourself as an embodiment of the soul? That's the name of your website. So, how would you channel? And by the way, she is a conscious channeler. She is a channeler. She'll stuff just flows through. So, and she's a wizard with words. So, yeah, how would you explain? Like if somebody, if it's not somebody like me, maybe it's just somebody that really doesn't, kind of get it. Maybe they're just kind of coming into the awareness of all of this. How would you explain what embodiment of the soul means?
Well, I think we have been raised that everything's outside of us. So we don't look at ourselves as a full unit where all the fragments are together. So I think in the decade that we're in now, we're learning more and more about the efficiency of energy and how it feels to be fully solid and intact with our decisions and our choices and our thoughts, regardless of the chaos that's going on outside of you. Um, it's a fine tuning of your fiddle, I think I've said before, and learning that everything of the God divine is actually within you, not without you.
Right, right. All within, all within. And I often say, you're the only one here. There's nobody else. It's just you perceiving your reality, in this oneness state. It's just you. And I think it's like a light bulb goes off sometimes. I've noticed with people, it's like, it's just me. I'm like, yeah, everything, all of it. It's just you. So I don't know if that's kind of how I see it in that oneness state. We're all from source creator. We are all one within the source creator. But it's just like creation said, I want to go play in a human. And even if that human has that dark energy, that's still creation at play. What do you think about that?
Uh, well, I have to agree with you. We came into this lifetime learning how to explore without all the restraints that we've had in other lifetimes. We've had to go through our obstacles, but so much of it was already removed or being removed from the planet. But we just kept tripping over old habits, old mistakes, old furniture that isn't where it originally was, so to speak, as a metaphor. And instead of looking at things as, oh, damn it, I did this, or oh, I did that, or,
Mm-hmm.
beating ourselves up, we have to look at it like, oh, well, okay, I won't go that route again this time. I won't step in that direction this time. Or, oh, hey, that felt pretty good. I'm going to keep going down this path. And so if we look at things in more of the game of life, I think we would have so much more placed in front of us to make more choices that enhance what it is that we came here to do instead of always tripping up on things. So, fun is the name of the game.
It is. But that's tough to do when you're in the thick of like massive trauma. I know from personal experience, I'm sure you do as well. It's so tough to do. Um, but still recognizing that the trauma, the darkness, the shadow is indeed still creation at play. And I mean, what do you feel like about the soul's choice and those exit points along the way? You can take them or you can leave them. And do you believe that everything's fated, or do you believe that we have free will?
Well, free will is a whole other a bucket of minutia that I don't like to get into too much,
Come on.
because
Here, let me give you the bucket to step in. I know you got some good cowboy boots. I saw them. I saw them.
yeah, I know. I could exit in the bucket, but I'd have to, find a place to bury it, and hopefully no one else steps in it. But
Right.
it's one of those things where I think, you know, there is an invisible obstacle course, and again, it's been removed slowly
Ooh,
but
that's good.
surely, and every little thing has been a stepping stone to get you where you are, good, bad, or indifferent.
Mhm.
And I also spirit shows me that the soul is a 24-hour surveillance camera of everything that's gone on in your life, not
Whoa, whoa,
just
whoa, whoa, hold
mentally.
on. Say that again slowly.
Okay.
Moderators, write it out, please.
Okay.
The soul
Spirit
is.
has shown me that the soul is like a recording device of everything you've ever experienced emotionally, physically, mentally, etherically. Everything is recorded in the soul. And the spirit gets designed per lifetime. So you build up stamina that builds up a constitution of the spirit. So, like, for example, if I chose to come into this lifetime and I chose to be a real hard ass and I was going to be harsh and I wasn't going to show a lot of compassion, and maybe even I would do very horrible deeds to someone, I couldn't come in with a super empathic, empathetic spirit. I wouldn't be able to achieve what it is I needed to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
So, with the soul housing everything, when you're designing your experiences that you'd like to have in this lifetime, maybe you're tying up loose ends from other lifetimes, but you've got to pick the essence of different things then to create the spirit that is going to walk this physical body through these experiences, these lessons, this to-do list, this bucket list that you came in here to do. So this is how spirit has shown me all my life. So I respond and react very differently than many other people because I came in very grounded, very, very grounded.
Yeah,
So
you
I hope
did.
that answers your question.
I know your birth chart.
Yeah. And another thing, along my pathway, astrology has always been a huge part of my life. Even when it was taboo in my own household, I
Uh-huh.
would have aunts that were into it. And so
Uh-huh.
when I would see them, I would get all into it. I mean, I'm talking 10, 11, 12 years old. And
Yeah.
then every time the newspaper got delivered, I'd go to the newspaper and sneak away the horoscope away from my family and then quickly
Uh-huh.
put it back so no one knew I read it.
Yeah.
But then in my later 20s, I lived and breathed it through a particular astrologer that I came across. And so I didn't make moves in my life without astrology, but astrology began to then align with everything that I was doing because it
Cool.
would align with the feeling of things. So it just was a huge teaching tool for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Well, if you don't mind, I'm just going to share. She has Saturn, y'all. And most of my listeners, the viewers, they know Saturn being in the first house. She's got Saturn in the first house in a grounded Virgo house. And she is a 29-degree Virgo, which means she's completion phase. This is like her soul's anybody who's at that 29-degree mark with their sun sign, or even really their rising, but especially the sun. This is probably the last time you're going to be here on this planet.
Mhm.
This is the information intel that I have gathered over the years. And so I see that in your chart. But having Saturn in the first house, that is what you are, such the grounded, but you can still open up to the etherical realms. You can still open up and see all of the amazingness that is in the unseen, like Pisces. We've got right now, we've got Pisces and the sun conjunct all weekend long. That's shining a huge light on everything that's unseen, everything that is creative and luscious and sweet and insane and delusional and weird. It's all of that. We're about to be reborn. So I'm so happy that it was you this week. I was like, oh, this is perfect right before the equinox. But yeah, being grounded, I have a hard time sometimes being grounded because I have very little earth in my chart.
Mhm.
My north node is Capricorn, so I could just be like, whoa, I've got to really work at it. Like, I have to do my spiritual hygiene every morning, every night before I go to bed, all of that stuff in order to, and still on top of that, middle of the day, sometimes I'm just like, nope, I've got to go feet in the sand, connect with Mother Gaia, and so that I can continue to work. I've said
Mhm.
that to people before. Look, I will meet you, but I'm gonna be about 15 minutes late. I got to go do this. What is your spiritual hygiene practice? I've never even asked you that before. Like, what is it that you
I
do?
am so embodied with my higher self and me that we walk together hand in hand. There isn't a
Hmm.
decision or a choice that is made without just breathing into that. So,
Hmm.
really, my hygiene is making sure that I pay attention to that, that I
Yeah.
don't allow myself to be led down the drive through line of crazy, because a lot of people are in the drive through line repeatedly getting fast food crazy. And I don't mean food as in physical drive through. But I'm talking about, let's just take another loop around the drive through here. And,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm so used to it, it feels good. And I really think that I'm giving myself this inner
Yeah.
adrenaline rush, that's my key power. And
Yeah.
I never fed into any of that, which is why I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. I kept people a little distant. But my hygiene every day is my constitution is always happy, because I look at everything as an experience. What am I going to experience today? What are we going to commune with today? And then what's going to come through me that's going to be of service to others.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I have embodiment of the soul at all times, but
And you
I
do.
mean, I feel I do. I feel like I'm in my highest light as much as I can be. It's something that I poignantly, like, in each now moment, am being conscious of my consciousness. But sometimes I'll get thrown off the rails still. And I know it when it's happening. And I just say, okay, that's all right. I'm still going to be off the rails for a moment. I'm going to go down the drive through of crazy. I love that, by the way. Please write that in the comments so I'll remember it. The drive through of crazy. Sometimes I'm like, okay, but you know what? I have Neptune in the first house. So there you go. Um, and when you have something, Neptune's so far out there, but it is the higher octave of Venus, so it's also the highest love, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, sometimes I feel like I get thrown off and I'm in the crazy. And how do you get out of the crazy but to get out of it? I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on any of that?
Well, I think just becoming aware of the crazy. But
Yeah.
we've been getting a lot of triggers. A lot of triggers are coming through for final, merge and purging, and it's been building up for the last 4 years. And this is a
Mhm.
big year to dump the bucket of
Mhm.
what.
Mhm.
Uh, but one of the biggest triggers that happens is that ancestral cord. It's huge. And so working with the ancestors, and then what has come through our own womb, and what
Mhm.
we've given birth to. And that's not just physically, but that's energetically, that's creativity wise. Is this something that I have to carry any further? You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
Or can I detach enough from some of the things that I may have created in the past that don't serve my now and my
Mhm.
steps moving forward? And that could mean that you've got to break ties. And I mean, really break ties. You can't do holidays with the same family you did holidays with before,
Mhm.
period.
Mhm. Mhm. Well,
And
and
so, yeah.
I think
I
I
mean,
think
listen, I
too.
want to add to
Go
that.
ahead. Go please.
We're very quick to end a friendship. We're very quick to eventually end a love relationship, right?
Mhm.
But we seem to always hang on to that ancestral line as if it's our duty, especially us
Mhm.
women. And so we think, oh, well, that's our cross to bear, not just children, not just, again, creative things, not just jobs that we've created. It's everything. We're back to the board, and we have to look at, do I wipe the slate completely clean and start over? Or do I pick and choose? But we have to become aware of, what is it doing to our physical, mental, etheric, spiritual, emotional body if we
Mhm.
continue in the way we're continuing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough, especially when it's your kid.
Oh
For
yeah.
me, it's been real tough with Landon. It's tough. But it's like I did the etch a sketch. I do the etch a sketch. You know, I used to love the etch a sketch. I was really good at it, and I did the etch a sketch with that, and it healed like a lot of the aspects of the shadow attachments. Is the way I kind of look at it, like the harsh darkness, heaviness in the attachment to him, and looking at him in his highest light has really helped me a lot. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm being okay with that. I'm being okay with, am I gonna build another etch a sketch screen with this situation? I don't know. You
Mm-hmm.
know, sometimes I gotta, but I do feel like the split. This. I've had a question. Sorry, y'all. I had the question from a good dear friend of mine saying, with this Earth split, it's got to be happening right now. This is the energy, right? It's happening right now. It's happening right now. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, I'm in total like 5D right now. And I'm like, yeah. I said, but, and then the channel came through. So I don't really remember all of it. I remember bits and pieces, but uh, I said, but it's kind of like when you have like a glass and that person, your neighbor next door, is in the 3D and you're in the 5th D. The same way when I was living with my son, he was in the 3D completely, if not in like the straight up underworld realms, and I was in 5th dimensional. And you want to talk about training, like literally what I went through with that and been going through for 12 years, but this last year solid. I don't know. Do you have anything to say on like the timeline shift, and I know you said that some people are just going to have to stay, but I feel like some of them are just disappearing. Like, I'm not even kidding you when I say I never hear from my sisters anymore. I never hear from a lot of that family, but here and there, like I'll like out of the blue, I'll get a call. But I never hear from my twin sisters, and I love them. There's no hate or anything. It's just they kind of just fell off into their own life, and I fell off into my life. I don't know.
Yeah, I was trying
I'm
to
kind
look
of
for
all over.
something.
I'm kind of all over the place with this. That's the other thing. I'm so multifaceted, and I have like so many different points of vision going on at the same time. And often when I get the visions, because I'm a seer, and when I get the visions, it's like a slide projector. Back in the day when we had the slide going on. But I was wondering, like, because to me it's kind of like, yeah, there's a timeline split, but there's really not. And we're really not leaving like this other Earth sitting over there. It's like we are rising within ourselves, but some people just aren't. Some people, and it doesn't make them bad nor good. I don't even like bad and good. It's higher frequency, lower frequency, multidimensionality stuff. But what do you think about all that?
Well, we are in a training, and someone had posted out on one of my groups about, oh, there's all this trickery happening. There's spirits in my house moving things around where I know I put it somewhere and I can't find it. And then I'm like, it's not even about a trickery spirit in your house.
Yeah.
I said it's all about the time we're being introduced to train, to learn multiple ways to successfully operate on different waves. It's
Yeah.
absolutely nothing to fear, or is it drive in crazy? I said, I suggest very mindfulness, be intentional and deliberate with all of your actions,
Yeah.
i.e., your thoughts, your energies. Be ready to flip gears. Do not allow crazy to enter your fields, and to play. I said, time to let your spiritual athletic self be better conditioned so that you can be in the training to win. So
Yes.
there's a lot of people that are going through. I feel like I'm in my body. I don't feel like in my body. I feel like I just went through that trigger and now it's back again. Okay, well, where am I getting the leak? What's pouring out? What is it next? And it's left a lot of people feeling very frustrated and questioning, well, what the hell am I really doing here? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm just in my floaties, not quite doing a free stroke. I just got my
Right.
floaties on my arms and I'm floundering here. I'm just coasting. I already learned the doggy paddle. Why do I have to go back and relearn it again? Well, we're reinforcing some of those childhood skills. And in those childhood skills, lots of the trauma's coming up. so that you can bring it up to the surface, skim it off, merge it, purge it, dissolve it, let it go, and then let some space actually be empty and fill it with divine light. And when you do things like that and make steps towards this, then when somebody reads something about astrology or someone gives a message about something, you have a whole different space of receiving that information, and then your translation's a little bit different.
That is good stuff. You know, um, I feel like often when we have to go back to the beginning, it has nothing to do with, oh, well, I'm already 5 steps away. I've been there, done all that. I'm not going back there. I feel like it's like, oh no, you got to go back there because you missed something. That's I always say you're going to find your golden nugget back there. When you go
Mm-hmm.
back and you start from beginning. I do it. I do it. And I've been a psychic since I was born. I've been having all these things since I was a kid. But I'm learning now. Okay, if I go back to the very beginning of the inception, how I did these things, as I go along, I'm going to pick up new skills, or I'm going to have more remembrance of, parallel timelines, or what you call past and future life incarnations, even though time is all now and it's all coming together. I don't know if you heard, but I recently had a new aspect of self, Lumerian, come through a couple of weeks ago. She is and I've never had Lemurians, never. But she's very strong, tall. She's very thin. She has this purple silver hair, but she's also this like presence that just speaks to me. And she has me getting up at 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning with one candle, no more than one candle, no music on, and sitting at my kitchen table with one Lumerian crystal. And because she told me in the center of each of my hands, I have these like ball orb things, okay? It's not like an eye, because at first I was like, oh yeah, they're like eyes. And she says, no, dear, they're ball orb things. She didn't say it like that, but that's how I got it. And I'm like, okay, and I have to do my hands like this. Okay, that's how my hands have to go. And that I'm pushing this little bitty baby Lumerian across the table. And I've been practicing. And I think it like one just, and I can only do it for like 30 minutes. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm going back to bed. But I think it moved like a quarter of a hair of a centimeter of a piece of grass. And I was like, oh, I think I did it. But it's cool. Like all of this new stuff is coming in. It's like I had this amazing opening and blossoming after I had this horrific dark night of the soul for like a week, after I dropped Landon. But yeah, it's been an interesting ride. I feel like all aspects of self have come back to center, and I feel like new ones are blossoming. And that's so cool, right? And it's my view. I didn't know if you knew this, but it's my view that we are those aspects of self, that nothing is outside of us. So I don't care how many dragons and that's the other thing is like you got multiple starseed lineages, just like you have multiple earth lineages. There's so
Mm-hmm.
many different ones, but they are also you,
Yes.
especially when you're in a physical flesh suit. When you're in this flesh suit, they're you. That's
Mm-hmm.
you on a different dimensional level. Would you like to speak to any of that?
Well, we all have different essences again that we come in with from the soul, and we will pick essences of different beings that we've been from different planets that are going to really assist us at this time. And they are sort of like your volume control. So
Oh
when we're
yes,
tuning
yes,
into it,
yes. Tell them. My viewers don't know about the whole volume control and the knobs and stuff. Please tell them about this.
okay, so when I teach people how to work with your inner software, I say create your own dashboard and put all of your knobs on it, and then be ready to start playing your instrument so that it can calibrate to whatever it is that you're going through. And then when
Yes.
you are calibrated, it's almost like this transmitter, this antennas kind of crystallize and they beacon out, and then all the beings that you have been family with, or your guides or ancestors or whatever, will come closer, like, oh, she's ready to assist you. So I love what you're talking about with the Lemurian guide coming in, because I got real clear she's definitely another aspect of who you are. And the reason why she's doing fingers like that is because at that lifetime, that's how her hands were, right? And so
Yes.
she's trying to bring
Ooh, I'm
back
getting chilled to the bone
muscle
now.
muscle memory, but
Yeah.
emotional memory, but also the memory that we have stored. Now, we say in our human life 95% is unconscious living. That's what dictates our behavior, and only 5% is conscious. We are really supposed to be digging in the attic, in the basement, and pulling all this stuff out, and to get rid of the fear stigma of just wanting to open up the window and jump the frick out and get to know who
Right.
you are. So you're
Right.
cleaning out all of these parts. And then all of the fragments of whoever you were in other lifetimes begin to come back, and they're just like little postage stamps. They're just little light, subtle ways of just joining you together. And you can say, I don't know what it is, but I feel just so much more aligned and stronger in my steps today. And I don't really contribute it to anything that I did different. But a lot of things get played out in our dream time. But really, what they're trying to teach us to do is to bring it out in our conscious physical aspects of our awakening time frame. So I love the fact that they're waking you up, telling you to light a candle so you're not letting in too much light into the eyes, which is going to create a different part of the brain to light up, right? It's keeping you in that ooh.
Yeah.
It's keeping that nervous system calm. So you're still kind of you're
Beta.
teetering. You're teetering in your theta,
And your
in your
theta.
theta,
Yes. Yes.
in
Yes.
your
Yes. Yes.
theta. So beta is your 10 and 2, gotta do, I'm fully conscious in protection of self. And then you've
Mm-hmm.
got alpha, which is, different levels of creativity. And then
Mm-hmm.
you've got theta, where you're allowing yourself to be in a deep, deep, relaxed state. And of course, delta, you're out, you're conked out. So being in that theta state with that candle is key, because they're keeping your brainwave, and then they're keeping that bouncer, that guard that stands right there between unconscious and conscious, and it tells that guard, hey, take a lunch break. I'm going to enter in there, consciously enter in there, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to find my golden nuggets, and I'm going
Yes.
to weed through enough. It's like going through a big closet full of a bunch of stuff, and you're trying to find something, and you're like, I know exactly what I want to get, and you're
Yeah.
just throwing things all over the place like in a cartoon, and then you're like, there it is, you know and then the rest
Mm-hmm.
of the mess, you're like, oh, I don't care about that, because that's
Right.
irrelevant. I just wanted this one thing. So I just commend you for getting up, because a lot of people are like, not tonight, maybe tomorrow.
Oh, I have since I was little. See, I have remembrance since I was little of turning things on and off with just my
Mm-hmm.
energy. Like I could look at my disco ball and turn it on. I could make things move, or I could make my doll cry. Just by kind of just it. I wasn't thinking about it. I was a kid. I was 4 years old. I was speaking to my mom this week, and I was like, "Mom, because I'm trying to remember back, because that's another thing. She's having me remember back in this incarnation when I was really, really small. Because I know since I was little that I could like do things, and like now as an adult, I'm having all these remembrances. I really started kicking that up around 2008, 2010 is really when it really started kicking back in. And I really want to be able to, and I don't even want to say want, I am going to turn like lead to gold. But see, this is the key, and this is something I've known for a long time, is that you can't do any of this alchemy work or this superpower work, whatever you want to call it, unless the intent behind it is to service humanity or service the earth or
Mm-hmm.
service, you have to have that service, in which I do. I mean, gosh, I spent 8 hours making an alchemy blend of all kinds of herbs and oils and stones and crystals and precious metals with sound therapy and, doing all the things. And then I gifted a lot of that out. You work with this. It's very powerful stuff. But anyway, I think it's cool that I only get up for like 30 minutes. I think it's cool if we're called to do something, to step into doing it. Like, and if
Mm-hmm.
you're able to do it. Now, I'm not saying everybody's able to do it. People got you know kids, or they got this, or they got what that. Still, that's kind of an excuse. If your spirit is calling you to do something at 2 o'clock in the morning, get up and give 10 minutes a try, and you just never know, because every choice point is a ripple. And every choice point, you're constantly shifting timelines at every single moment. Every moment is a timeline shift. Every moment is a timeline shift. And there is another one of you, there's probably an infinity amounts of you, that took all the other directions that you chose not to take.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's been shown to me anyway. But it's exciting when you can think about how much love can I truly create in this tangible world. How I want it to show up. I want to show it up. Oh my gosh, I actually did this, and then I feel good because I've
Mm-hmm.
given back, you know.
Yeah, but you're moving through the heart portal, and that's really what
Yes.
Spirit showed me a couple years ago. Is people are talking about pole shifting and polarity ending and all these things going on, and Spirit would show me it was just flipping ego to heart portal. Everything was still going to be
Ah,
in alignment,
yeah.
but now this was going to be your primary
Ooh,
way
that's
to
good.
translate
Yeah, yeah,
information.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you can't help but feel differently and feel more love and compassion and just more gentle softness when you start learning how to use that heart portal. And that's when you start feeling embodiment of self, because you're like, gosh, all these other things don't matter as much to me anymore. They're not important. And you don't have to wait till you're gray haired and retired to have any kind of golden years. You've got to start
Yeah,
doing this now.
yeah.
And you're going to be forced to do it because it's going to happen automatically. And a lot of people are resisting it. Um, but when you start getting kind of around more children, or you're getting in tune with your own inner child, um, for whatever reason that gets you there, you're going to start really, you're going to be the rhythmic ripple in the cosmic waters. That's going to
The
make a big
rhythmic
difference. And
ripple in the cosmic waters. Write it
yes,
in
and
there,
that,
guys.
yes, you guys. And so the interesting thing with that is every single ripple, just look at a lake, and with every little ripple that just goes out and it just echoes and echoes and echoes, how
Yes.
beautiful that looks, and
Yeah.
how we begin to feel when we're just observing it. But if you're actually feeling like you are the ripple, and each ripple's making a difference
Oh, yeah.
in the movement of the cosmic waters,
Mhm.
wow.
Wow. Yeah, I watch that a lot here on the canal that I live on, because we'll have the guys out there cleaning their fish after they've gone fishing. And oh man, the canals are so beautiful now, because before it was just kind of all this water coming from the Laguna Madre, and I'm kind of in the center of this little sandbar that we live on here in South Texas. And they had this huge bridge that's been building for 2 years, blah blah blah. Finally they made the Gulf waters come in and connect, just like a couple weeks ago, connect into this canal water that's going through all of these homes on this island. Oh, the water's so just phenomenal.
Mm,
Dreamy Neptunian Piscean
mm,
energy, and the water is just, you can feel the life. Like, I can sit out there, and I'm just like, and I'm up on the balcony, and I'm just like, I'll take my consciousness, and I always connect in here at the higher cosmic heart, because that's where I've seen people enter and leave the body, and this is where I'm told that that's where it happens. And
mhm,
that's where I saw it, so that's kind of what I do. But I'll take this higher cosmic heart and I'll connect it here, and I'll be like a laser beam, straight down there, and then I am in the water, and I'm cruising
mhm.
around, and I'm checking things out. That's kind of like my galactic mermaid self. Anyway, I think that we could open up the questions. Do you guys have any
Sure.
questions out there? Look, it looked like there was one. We've got about 20 minutes left, so I think it'd be a good time to talk. Um, what about embodiment of the soul? So if somebody's watching this right now, what tell them what that they what would be your like best session? You know, what would that be? While I'm looking for
Well,
questions.
it really just depends. So, I'm certified in a multitude of things, but I never give. Someone might message me and say, "I want a past life regression," and so we do our little meet and greet, and then I've already tuned in prior to the session. We may go into deep relaxation, which is what hypnosis is. That's it. Hypnosis is nothing more than deep relaxation. You can reprogram your thoughts into more positivity, or you can go even deeper and maybe just see where spirit takes you. But instead of maybe going to a specific thing or having a list of questions, I was in a group the other night and they were saying they had to prepare these questions for a session they had. That's all well and good, but sometimes that doesn't allow you to go from the conscious mind into the subconscious mind, where you can just let go and trust the practitioner is going to help you navigate what visions or where you are in what particular places that you're at, so that you can retrieve information that's pertinent to your now. And
Mm-hmm.
so the more that you do this, the more you begin to embody yourself, because you realize how much power you actually have. So it's like a little bit of solidarity just comes back into the physical,
It
and it's
is.
just a feeling that you get, and then you start housing what people could describe as coming into your own, where you're not so worried about people to the left and the right and what they think about you. You're just really kind of in who you are. So these kinds of sessions embody that soul, so that you begin to get a taste and a feeling of what's that like, and then give you some tools to start doing things like this on your own. Because my
Mm-hmm.
job isn't to have lifetime clients,
Yeah.
as much as, it's all great, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't hand the reins over to you and say, okay, between now and X amount of time, I want to know how you're doing. And because this opens gateways to them being able to retrieve more information and do it on their own. So, I
All
mean,
right.
that's what I call empowering the embodiment of
I
who
love
you
it.
are. And that is just so gratifying.
And also understanding anyone that's listening, often I'll have, well, what do you offer? I'm like, it's an hour and a half to 2 hour session with me, and whatever happens is going to be amazing. You know what I'm saying? That like literally, I can do a variety of different charts, or but most of the time I'm like, just email me your info and tell me what your directive is. Like, are you worried about work? Do you want to know about your past lives? Do you want to know about energy healing? You want to know, I mean, whatever it is, you want more sound
Mhm.
healing, whatever it is, because for me, you can't plan this stuff, man. You just can't plan it. We have a question here. We have a question here. It looks like, I'm still waiting to remember my other lifetimes, says Christy Rinks. I feel like in a former life I was some type of performer. Not sure if I was a singer or a dancer, but how can I find out more or speed that up? I'll let you take that one, Sandra.
So that's kind of ego driven, and that's okay, and that's how we come to learn the difference between what's doing the through the heart portal and what's doing through the mental portal. When we're trying to figure out every aspect of something about a lifetime, it's generally being driven by something that's not so important. But when you get into a session, like say if you were having a session with me, I would ask you to give permission to allow what will unfold and what will show you. It may really surprise you what information comes up, but it also may be quite solidifying to some of the messages you may be getting for yourself. So I wouldn't hone in on just that. Just ask spirit, hey, if I'm supposed to know that I was a performer or what type of performer I was in another lifetime, could you please show me that if it's important for me to know it? They may say, bypass that, clear that whiteboard, start over, ask it differently. And then you learn to dialogue with the inner self, your higher self, and your guide team.
Yes, 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 yes. And you will make the rhythmic ripple in the cosmic waters by
Yes, and
doing so.
I'd like to add something to that. Not everybody's going to get the answer they want from me. They're going to get the answer
Absolutely.
that comes through that puts questions and answers back on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I cannot be responsible for how you receive any information or messages that come through. I'm just the messenger and the mouthpiece to deliver it. And it can come through in many different ways. There's lots of times people will be like, mentally, I don't like what she just said, and therefore I'm going to close it down. And I just ignore it because within a period of time, and it could even be a year or 2 years, without fail, somebody comes back and say, oh my God, that was a catalyst that opened up other things for me to understand me. And
Mm-hmm.
at first I was pissed at you for saying that. And it's just because it may trigger because I didn't answer it in a linear, mental, egotistical way. And we have to have the ego. The ego and the heart are still going to work together.
Oh yeah.
The brain and the heart are still going to work together. So whenever you're listening to this stuff, oh, we got to get rid of the ego. No, you don't. It's your survival. It's
Mm-hmm.
all about your survival. So don't just, how about this? Look at things. I'm going to be in harmony with every aspect of myself. No one is going to tell me what is good, what is right for me. I'm going to know this because I'm going to use my heart portal as my main entryway for translation of all information.
Hmm. Yes. Well, and two, what came through for me, I guess I don't even know how many weeks ago it was, but every trigger is an activation. Every activation is a trigger. Trigger. And I had to really kind of sit with that and break that down. It's like, well, shit, it sure is. You know, every activation, like to activate, to be able to broadens one expansion in order to take in more light, in order to have more remembrance, in order to have a better understanding of yourself spiritually in this time or parallel timelines, however you perceive that to be. You definitely need to have a better understanding that when you're getting triggered by something, that's the moment that you're activating the remembrance, or
Mm-hmm.
you're activating the level of light that you're intaking, and kind of being in the flow with it. Even if you're angry, like I've taken ladies to the sea and we've screamed, well, literally stand at the sea and scream. Amazing to let some of that aggression go, to let some of that pain and that trauma and all of that that's going on. I have another question here. Amy Ulrich says, what is the significance of lucid dreaming? Being conscious of dreaming. What is the significance? What is the significance of lucid dreaming? Being conscious of dreaming.
So I think what I'm hearing you say is you're in a dream, but you know you're in a dream and you're experiencing something. I
Yes.
think that's what they're trying to ask. That is because that particular information is what your guide team is wanting you to remember. And it doesn't have to always make sense if you just tune into the feeling of what it is that you're experiencing while you're in that dream state, where you know you're having a dream and you're aware of the dream and you know you're in it and experiencing something. Always know that you're safe. Nothing is going to happen to you, and just walk through it, and then possibly say, hey, could I remember some of that when I really do wake up? Because lots of times we don't remember all the details. We have to get up right away and write it down. But
Mm-hmm.
spirit's always going to bring you in your most relaxed state as much as they can. That's going to trigger and open up some type of pathway for more information. It's going to expand your receivers, your antennas, your suction cups, all over in every aspect. We're so accustomed to translating information with our physical sensories, and we are so much more than that. But you've got to learn to master your physical sensories for
Mm-hmm.
you to get to the other levels. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's where you got to learn how to be with the human that you are and stop trying to get to other places where you don't belong until you've conditioned, tuned in, and skilled those techniques.
Yeah. I do the lucid dreaming quite often. Do you lucid dream?
I do. I do,
Yeah.
and I always want more. I'm always like, God,
Yeah,
it
me
feels so
too.
good. I
I
want
could
more, but
sleep.
it'll come periodically, and sometimes I'll get up quite baffled, and I'll go, "What the heck?" And I just learn to say, "Okay, Spirit, if there's anything else you want me to know about that, let me
Yeah.
know." So I don't go around in my mental monkey
Yeah.
mind all day trying to figure it out or telling a bunch of people about it and getting their interpretation of it. I always go back to how did I feel when I was experiencing that? And it could
Mhm.
be fear. It could be I'm scared, or that was so unknown, or
Mhm.
that was so bizarre I can't even unravel what I just experienced. Just sit with it. Just be with it. Just shut your pie hole and just let it start talking to you if there's anything more that needs to have a continuation of it.
I love it. Shut your pie hole. Well, you
Shut
gotta
your damn pie hole.
you, and two, remove the monkey mind, remove the reptilian brain. Remove all of that shit that you don't need. We don't need all of that. I always say, think with your heart mind. Right here, think with your cosmic heart mind. This is where we think, not here. And I want to also address Christy, who asked that question, the first one about the ego. She says, where did she go? Here she goes. She goes, thank you. I don't want to be ego driven. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Because let me explain something to you about ego. So, ego is a necessary thing, essence of being in order to be alive. If you weren't in a physical flesh suit, you wouldn't. I mean, you have to have an ego. And by the way, we are birthing a new, improved, amazing ego that's coming online at the beginning of next year. We're in process of that. We've been in process of that since the beginning of last year. And we're really getting into it now because that north karmic node of fate is creeping backwards, always forever going retrograde, getting to the first decan of Aries. And what is the first decan of any sign? It is the personal. It's all about the personal. So, in other words, don't be. That was a great question, Christy. I really liked it, and it was really great that it brought stuff out in Sandra and I as well. But don't ever think, oh, I don't want to be in my ego, because your ego is kick ass. Okay, and you got to have an ego to live. Just
Here, here.
realize being egotistical is different than just saying I've got a kick ass ego.
Hmm.
You know.
Well, the other thing that's coming through as you're talking is, that conscious and that subconscious being 5% to 95%. One of the main things here is to poke holes in that 95% and let that 95% start leaking into the conscious, so you can become
Mm-hmm.
you become a wave of all of it. So when you need to retrieve information or you need to store information, it's there, and the gateways are opening up at your command, not something
Yes.
where you have to go pay somebody to get yourself relaxed and have access to little pinpoints of things that are important. Now, we're going to be doing that for a while. Yes, that will be one of the avenues. But the more you poke holes and the more you're willing to let the conscious go into the unconscious and the unconscious come into the conscience, the more embodied you will become with that soul, the stronger, the more anchored, and the more you're going to freaking love being human, because
Yeah.
that is it's not a gift and it's not a talent, but it is something that has to be fine-tuned and conditioned to be your spiritual athletic self, and it takes due diligence, intention, concentration, and it takes a desire to want to be all you are and all you came here to be.
Consciously creating in the consciousness flow,
Mm.
knowing that you're able to poke those holes, like Sandra says, and let that unconscious, let that subconscious flow through the essence of heart, mind, thought. It's such a brilliant dance, really. When you get up first thing in the morning, what are you saying to yourself before your feet hit the floor? I mean, this is so old school, but what really are you saying to yourself? You know, my day is going to be full of magic and miracles, and I'm getting younger every day. That's what I say. Even if my back is hurting, my neck is painful, I had a horrible night of sleep, or, whatever. I'm still like, going to say it. And then I kind of laugh at myself. It's like, this is funny stuff, but it's serious stuff. And when you start getting that joy and that laughter in the first thing in the morning, it kind of just does set your pace. Bringing in the light. I'm not someone that likes to sit and meditate for long periods of time. I just don't. I feel like I'm in a walking meditation all the time because I've been doing it so freaking long.
Yep.
Um, but I do take that time, just to sit and just kind of breathe, do some quick breath work, pulling in the light, stabilization after being sleeping. And I feel like I'm at work all night long, because I know I'm going to different locations and doing different things around the planet. So, I mean, but for each person, especially people who are newly starting, and I think that, let's see, do we have one more question? People that are like kind of newly starting to get into this, in some leaving comments. Oh, there's Deborah. She's an ancient goddess wisdom. I love her. She said, I've received the first moments of waking. I receive the first moments of waking. I feel deeper connection to deeper awareness when I let light language flow through the sacredness of the ocean. She's a beautiful writer, and she does this gorgeous light language. She's an amazing soul. Thank you for being here today. Wow.
And every instrument is creating light language. Every sound you hear from the ocean or from the birds or from the wind, everything is light language. It's not just what comes through your vocals.
Yes.
It's all language of the universe, and it's all filled with loving light. And so that is why people play instruments. That is why people create physical music to induce euphoric, beautiful states of lovingness. And that's why most people will write about love when they're playing an instrument, because it invokes love. When you start getting on, any instrument, a guitar, a piano, you want all these beautiful notes harmonizing and creating it, because we're all in the symphony of multiple orchestras here in the world,
Yeah.
in the globe, in the galaxy. There's so much. Every wave of a planet ripples and affects the earth. Everything the earth does ripples and affects another planet. They're so much bigger than just this physical hood that we are. And we're part of it as part of the instrument or the chord along, as a ripple or whatever you want to call yourself. So start playing with it.
Okay. Thank you for being here today, Sandra. We have one question in closing, but before we go to the question, because I'm going to close this out after we both answer this last question, I do want everybody to make sure that you get in touch with Sandra and go on over to her website. That is, go ahead and say it again because I'm pulling up my notes.
Sure. It's Embodiment of the Soul. And you can email me at info@embodiment of the soul. If you just want to introduce yourself, you may have a quick question. Maybe you'd like to know about a session that might appeal to you. It doesn't matter what it is. Feel free to email me and put in the subject line comic Cosmo. So Cosmic.
Yeah.
Combo. So I have it in there, and I know that you came from the show.
Yeah, and to remember all of her information on every single one of these broadcasts, no matter if you're in a Facebook group or you're on one of the Facebook pages or you're on Instagram or you're on YouTube. All of her information is below. I put the links to her Facebook as well and her YouTube. You're dropping stuff like it's hot almost like every day. She's dropping something while she's on the way to her day job, because she takes care of a lot of people. Like, you're really helping with the elderly, and I commend you for doing that. I know a lot about what that's like with having had my grandfather go through the dementia and stuff like that. So thank you for the service to that. But we have plenty of information below, so you can't, no excuses. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take one last question here. Sandra Smith. This is coming from Sandra Smith. She says, what what do each of you have a what definition of healing? That word is tossed around a lot. What is each of your definition of healing? That word is tossed around a lot. Okay, I'll let you go first.
Well, what's coming through for me is maybe sealing a wound. Um, Healing is such a broad thing. I mean, because I don't really even know how to answer that at this moment. I All I'm getting is sealing a wound is what
Okay.
I'm hearing, and wounds come in so many different shapes and sizes, and they can come through whatever energetic body that they're being delivered. But it's putting something to rest. It no longer is haunting you. It's been sealed. It's been healed. It's let go. It doesn't need to be dealt with anymore. It's not something that's getting triggered in the way that might have been triggered pre-healing it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I'm saying about it.
Healer, heal thyself. No one outside of you is going to heal you unlike you can heal yourself. And if somebody says they're going to heal you, they're full of shit. You assist, like allow Sandra to shine the flashlight on some of those places that need healing. But like I tell all my clients, and you kind of understand with me as healing, you have to meet me 50% of the way here if you want a session with me. There's certain things I'm going to send you. I'm like, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, and before I'll even book you, because it's important that you're setting the pace, that you're in control of your path, of your, what's the word I'm looking for? You have confirmed and given yourself the permission slip to say, I'm going to heal these past life traumas. I'm going to heal these current traumas. I'm going to heal, whatever it is that's need healing. Maybe it was this life, maybe some severe childhood stuff happened, whatever. But you have to take control of your healing. And don't, nobody else outside of you can do that for you. We can assist, we can channel, we can help, but it's really up to each individual client to really stick with it and be determined to stay healed. So,
Here, here.
thank you, Sandra, for being here. If you'll hang out backstage, I'm going to talk to you after I close out the show. Everybody say bye to Sandra, and thank you so much for coming here today. We love you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
What a wonderful Cosmic Combos number 2. Oh, my goodness, my goodness. What a beautiful Cosmic Combos. What a lovely interaction. I'm enjoying these more and more. Make sure that you come and check us out next week. I believe it'll be on Sunday because this is the time that's available for my special guest, Julie Severin, of Mind, Body, Soul, Spirit Healing, will be here. So that'll be next Sunday. I'll have the event link out there posted. And you guys have a beautiful rest of your week and fall into the dream. Get out in nature, really connect. If there's any other time, Pisces season, the tail end of Pisces season here, as we step into the new astrological new year being birthed in the Aries equinox next week. This is the time. I will be back on Tuesday and we'll be doing a little equinox ritual with you prior to doing some cards and talking about the Aries equinox. I love you all. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you to everyone here who's live and on the replay. And thank you to Sandra McEllis. Y'all check out her info below. That's some good stuff. Walk in the light, spread the sparkle.